Dear students, good evening. Welcome to Excellence IAS. Let us do the editorial analysis for today, December 23rd, 2022. I am sorry I was not available for 2 weeks. I was occupied with interview work. As many students have cleared for the interview this year, we are supposed to provide them the last mile guidance. We are working on that. Whatever the backlog which is there, over the next 4 days, I will complete that particular backlog to you. So let us start the discussion now. Reshaping the world's responses to the terror matrix. You know that it is part of the GS paper 3 security issues. Here, what we need to understand is the terror has changed its dimensions. The new age terrorism, it has emerged after 9/11. Later we saw in 26/11, and then we also saw something called as lone wolf attacks. It means that a random person will attack on the people in a public place and they cause injury or death to those people. So that's where the terrorism has taken up new forms. The next part is the state-sponsored terrorism can be much brutal. The Mumbai terror attacks, it has showed that the state-sponsored terrorism, it has to be addressed and no country shall support this. In this case, another word which I have used is enabled terrorism, remote controlled terrorism. What is enabled terrorism? Internet has become a tool for recruitment, training and know-how on terror activities. So that's why the empowerment through internet is called as enabled terrorism. Remote controlled terrorism, it means the handlers of the terror activity, they will be sitting somewhere else, and operations of terror are being carried out somewhere else, and these two are connected in the real time, guiding them. So this is what is called remote controlled terrorism. So in Mumbai attacks, we saw this remote controlled terrorism, and coming to Al-Qaeda, ISIS, internet has become a weapon for recruitment of the new people. So in this case, the terrorism did not decrease. It is changing its color, shape and intensity. Today, government claims that high-intensity terror activities have come down. But there is an underlying warning. That is, radicalization is still going uninterrupted. You have seen Coimbatore issue, and added to that, Mangalore issue, where the radicalization is reaching even the educated middle class now. That's why what India has to focus now on, UN shall be activated, and the incomprehensive convention on international terrorism that we need to work through. So in this article, what all we need to understand, how the new age terrorism is different from the old age terrorism. The new age terrorism is enabled by the internet, and also it is a remote controlled terrorism. And state-sponsored terrorism is also one facet of this new age terrorism. These are the points we need to understand. Next is, in US actions, the worry of global trade lawlessness. Here there are two words which you need to understand. One is neoliberal order and new geo-economic order. You know that 1990s developing countries have went into deep debt crisis. India was also not an exception to this. In this case, the Bretton Woods brothers, they have proposed for a new economic model. What is this new economic model? We shall move from state-controlled economic order to market-facilitated economic order, market-dominant economic order. These reforms, we famously call them as LPG reforms. So these LPG reforms, which have provided primacy to market forces, which is essentially privatization. This is what we call it as neoliberal economic order. So this has facilitated what? Globalization. In globalization, what happened? Between country A and B, when a good has to move from A to B, no more protectionism, no tariffs. So this has encouraged something called free trade, and then borders are being protected. So borders, what they said, they made them as open borders. So free trade, open borders, free flow of investments, all these are the part of the neoliberal order. In this case, Geoeconomics and geopolitics, they are seen separately from each other. Let us take India, China, irrespective of having differences, they still continued their trade. So that clearly reflects neoliberal order, where economy or economic relationships have dominated. Now coming to geo-economic order, here we don't see the economic facets and political facets or security facets as not connected. We see them as interdependent. So it means that protectionism is increasing in the new geo-economic order. Every country is creating barriers, tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers for the import of the goods. So second thing is, nationalism is increasing. And third, the security concerns are dictating the economic policies. And US is also first front or forefront with regard to this. In this case, let us compare these two things here, the geo-economic order and neoliberal order. The WTO-like institutions were being promoted along with World Bank to protect the neoliberal order. During that time, any kind of grievances, WTO has a grievance redressal mechanism, an appellate mechanism, etc. Now these are falling to disuse. In this scenario, what is being stated is, United States of America imposed 10% of tariff on steel, 25% on aluminum products, especially from developing countries. And they have clearly stated that it is in the security interest of the country. Who determined the security interest over here? It is being self-judged. It means we only determined that it's a security threat to our country. So from that they made a decision. So from this you can understand clearly the existing order slowly fading away and the new order is not establishing. This entire thing can lead to global trade lawlessness. This is the take-home point. So in this article, what you have to learn, what is the difference between neoliberal economic order and then geo-economic order. This difference is very critical, which I gave you in this particular notes. Public sphere vitiated. Remember, Elon Musk bought Twitter. After bringing the Twitter, it has led to confusion and chaos. In this case, social media is a double-edged sword. One way it is an information dissemination tool. On the other side, it is also a serious disinformation dissemination tool. So, in this case, standard quality control or quality control of the content on the platform is very critical. So, downsizing the staff, summary dismissals have decreased the quality of the control and supervision on it. So in this scenario, as social media has become an essential part of our lives, we shall not see that from profits dimension. We also need to see from social cohesion dimension. That's why content moderation based on principles and is essential for the social media platforms. That is the essence of this article. Beyond weapons, you know, the Ukraine-Russia war is seeing no end. United States of America and NATO, these are getting involved with the war from the side of the Ukraine. And there are many rumblings in NATO about this. In this case, USA wants to assist Ukraine, but it do not want to appear itself as getting into a direct war with Russia. So, be defensive and whatever the weaponry necessary to defend yourself I will give you, but not the offensive weaponry. So, to defend from the missiles of Russia, patriotic anti-missile defense system, precision-guided missiles are being provided by the United States of America. They approved $1.8 billion for this. Till now, to the tune of $54 billion are being given. Here, Mr. Zelensky made a speech addressing the United States Congress. What he said is, whatever the support given by the United States of America, it is not a kind of assistance or help. It is an investment in democracy. Remember the word. This is an investment in democracy. That's what Zelensky has clearly stated. In this case, this appears to be a war with no end in the near sight. In this case, USA's involvement shall not complicate the war. It has to pull the warring parties to the negotiation table. How can we pull that? So Russia has to see a value that it cannot win the war. On the other side, Ukraine also has to see a value that Russia is too big to face. So based on this, a negotiation pact or negotiation table has to be arranged. And in this case, USA has to facilitate this. If this war escalates and it becomes Russia-NATO's war, that is not good for NATO, Europe, and to the world altogether. That is the take-home point. Should the courts close for vacation? You know that law minister and many of the officials in the government, they are saying that why so many holidays for the judges? In this case, let us understand certain facts. So do judges enjoy their vacation? No. They write judgments. On a regular working day, they handle some 10 to 12 cases. In these circumstances, for them to write a judgment is very difficult. So they try to sit there and write the judgments. Second is, Indian judges, Supreme Court judges, they are the judges who take the least number of holidays. And many of the people say that this is a colonial habit which has to be discontinued. See, the judicial work is a cerebral work. It involves collection of lot of information, research, and also reflection, and finally giving a judgment, which will have wide implications to the nation and the public at large. So that's why these holidays has to be counted. So the argument of the government is the pending cases are increasing because of these vacations. In this case, efficiency, what does that mean? It is not how many days judge is sitting in the court. It is about how efficiently he is functioning in the court. That is what is important. The second is, India problem is lower number of judges. We have only 21 per million population. What is the requirement? 50 per million population. On the other side, Indians are becoming litigated. Our litigation is increasing in India like never before. So that is the reason why the courts, vacations is not a bigger problem. The bigger problem is not filling the seats, judicial positions in right time. The next is the uncontrolled re-entries of the satellites. Let's understand this word, re-entry. So once a satellite lifespan is over, it has to come back. When it falls, and when it enters the atmosphere of the earth, that is what we call it as re-entry. For reusable vehicles, it is a controlled re-entry. But satellites, it is an uncontrolled re-entry. It may break into fragments, it may fall into different places. In this case, whenever there is a damage because of the part hitting your house or something, you may get compensation. For that, there is a convention that is called Liability Convention in 1972. It is to provide for, to ensure certain support to you, but it is not to prevent. So that's why the uncontrolled re-entry of satellites, it has to be controlled. That is what is the objective of this article. Next is, what do the Jammu and Kashmir Land Grant Rules 2022 entail? Now, previously, outsiders cannot lease the land in Jammu and Kashmir or buy the lands. Only the Jammu and Kashmir residents are allowed to do this. So that's why many of the hotels, these are being given on lease by the government to the locals. Now, this particular Land Grant Rules 2022, they declare that there will be no more extension of the lease and these will be put to open auction. When they are put to open auction, obviously Jammu and Kashmir people, even outsiders can take them on lease. So this is what opening up the lot of projects and properties in Jammu and Kashmir. Obviously, the people who have got vested interest in enjoying those properties till now will have certain objections, and we have to see how it is going to flare up. Thank you very much. Have a great day.